Welcome everyone back to Pommy and Oz. Hope we're all doing really well. If you are new around here, please do me a favour. Drop a like, drop a subscribe, become a member of the channel if you want to do. That is a link in description. We do wonderful things around here, giveaways, give backs. We try and sponsor people. It's a nice little community. So if you'd like to do that, please go ahead and do it. And welcome back to another video. And what we're doing today is we're doing something super exciting. We've done all them draft previews. Thank you so much for the support on that as well. We're going to do a little mock draft with some scenarios. So we're going to get our crystal balls out. And this is very early. Obviously, it's pre-trade period. So we've tried to predict a few trades. And we'll do a bit more as we go on. We're going to do some daily recaps as well of the trade and free agency period. So that'll be coming as well. Stay tuned for that. We'll always be a day behind because obviously we need to know what's gone on. So without any further ado, let's do it. So pick one in the draft. We have a match bid. And I do suspect that North have to pick on this kid. They have to. They have to. It may not happen and they may do the Jason Horne-Francis saga, but you've got to take a chance. And Will Ashcroft, I would say, is deservingly the best pick in the draft. Very solid, very complete midfielder. He suits what Brisbane are doing. Absolutely standout, do you know what I mean? Especially at the National Championships this year, just under 33 touches, 7 inside 50s a game, 9 clearances and half a goal and 9 score involvements. Very, very accomplished footballer, uses the ball very well. Incredible engine, the father-son, captain as well, finished top 5 in the Moorish medal as well, which is always an interesting one, but he did win the Lark medal. This kid is ready-made for professional football. Can't wait to see him, Brisbane get him. You know my feelings on the father-son when they're a top 10 graduate. I'm not a fan at all, but that being said, he's going to become a Lion and he's a top guy. So we pick 2 of the national draft. We've got George Wardlaw. Now, this guy is an incredible footballer. Strong on the inside, really good user. He's a real head-to-head footballer as well. Was sensational in the NAB League in the limited games he did play. 21 touches, just under a goal a game, 6 tackles, Oakley Chargers product. Obviously coming off the back of an injury, but I don't think that will be any issue. Do you know what I mean? We had the hamstring injury and a couple of setbacks after that. Did stand out in the Collingwood VFL Academy game as well. He was named best of ground on that one. This guy is everything. Burst away speed, a perfect replacement for who you suspect that you lose Jason Horne-Francis this year. But I think he is an incredible footballer and a great pick 2 for North. Then we've got the Eagles. Eagles ones are a tough one, aren't they? But I would say that without a shadow of a doubt, they will take this gentleman here, Elijah Tsatas, an absolute jet of a footballer he is, and someone that I'm incredibly looking forward. And he really suits, I think, what the Eagles are trying to do. Just under the 30 touches at the national champs, 3 inside 56 marks. In the NAB League, it was 34 touches, 10 score assists. This guy is a jet. Has a few foot injuries, but, you know, shouldn't really affect him. Has been a complete standout in all the times playing. Pure athlete who can literally break speed, can get on the other end as well in the final third. Incredible ability to accumulate the football. He really suits it. He's a franchise-type player, if we're going to use an American terminology. And I can't, for the life of me, not see him ending up here. An absolute wonderful footballer and one that I think will really, really take the game by storm when he comes into it. Easy pickup for the Eagles and happy days for them. Pick 4 then. GWS. GWS are an interesting one, aren't they? Because you just don't quite know what GWS do. I've tried to do a needs analysis on this one, and I think that, a tall forward is a no-brainer for them, and I think it should get the job done. It's going to be a very interesting one, I think, with what they do, and I think that, it's just a logic pick, this one. Cadman is by a country mile the best player in this draft in that position. He's ready-made as well. I can't see him being too much of an issue, to be honest. I think he'll play straight away, and I think they'll be very happy with their pickups. It's going to be interesting what they do, but it just makes sense. Tall, left-footed, key forward, a guy that can just take marks for fun, was the standout with a massive, massive national championships, 2.5 goals a game, and the NAB League for his GMV Rebels, just under 3, 9 score involvements. This guy is literally the man that you pull it. And I would say that if I'm GWS, it is a complete no-brainer for me. An absolute superstar and one that really complements what they have. Can play from day one. Strong physically, excellent movement. Someone I am incredibly excited about. Then pick 5. Who do they take? I think they'll take the legend that is Sandy Dragons forward, Harry Sheezel. Again, another guy that really stood out. And he is X-Factor personified. Can play through the midfield if they need him, but his impact, his ability to work around the packs, is second to none. Something they definitely have lacked since Tipper Woody has gone. And with what Essendon's building, this is a guy that is an absolute superstar ready to happen. Just under 3 tackles at national championships, 2 goals in the NAB League for Sandy. He took the mick, to be honest. 2.6 goals, 8.3 score involvements, 3 tackles. This guy is literally should be higher up, in my opinion. It's just that what other people need. Harry Sheezel is an absolute phenomenal acquisition for Essendon, and he is one of the dark horses for me for the NAB Rising Star. I don't think it'll be Will Ashcroft, but Essendon get a ready-made footballer, a guy that can really take the game on, and someone that is incredibly, incredibly exciting. An absolute X-Factor buy for Essendon, and they'll be very happy. Gold Coast Suns, then. We've got them here. What can we say about them with their first pick? I think that when you look at what they need as a football club, with ranking going, I think that they'll want that little bit of an X factor there. I think they'll be very shrewd with their draft hand, but I think this is an obvious choice for them. I don't think they'll look at midfielders. I don't think they'll look at anyone else. I think this is a real logical acquisition for them. And we know Bailey Humphries is my favourite, don't we? We know I talk about him a lot. The Gippsland power boy, never get tired of doing it. The NAB League was sensational. 20 touches, just under 5 tackles, 2 goals a game. Damaging from stoppages, uses both sides. Does need to sharpen up his kicking efficiency, has to be said. But in the position he plays, after that meniscus tear, it may let him slide down. But for me, he was tracking to be a top 3 pick. Could have even been a higher pick, in my opinion, if he'd played the whole year. Finished 3rd in the Moorish medal, which just shows you how good, and was named in the pocket in the NAB League Team of the Year. He's an absolute phenomenal footballer. Like, literally, X-Factor, breeds it. When they lose Rankine and they gain this guy, it won't really hurt that much. Absolute sensational get, and one, again, that I would be looking at for that rising star, because this guy will stand out. I'm a huge fan of Bailey, and Gold Coast have got themselves one hell of a footballer. Pick 7 then, Hawthorn. Hawthorn are an intriguing case, aren't they? We expect them to be quite active this year in moving players around. I would say that, you look at them, they probably need a key forward, but they'd probably be looking at a key forward that could work today. Probably the ruck is an issue, but then again, I'd say Keeler is way too early to take unless they drop down. So for me, Cameron Mackenzie is the most balanced and complete midfielder who can play inside and outside. And for me, it is an absolute no-brainer for me that the legend that is Sandy Dragons, they take this kid. Can play inside and outside, 25 touches at national tramps for Metro, 2.5 tackles, just under the 4 clearances. 4 clearances in the NAB League as well, 4 tackles. And part of the St Kilda Academy, right? But obviously they can't match before 40, and that is their gain, Hawthorn. He suits what Sam Mitchell, and there's a lot of Sam Mitchell about this player as well. Very neat user, very compact, uses it well, finds space, loves to work in that pocket behind stoppages and clearances. An absolute perfect acquisition for them. Ready-made. Sam Mitchell will turn this kid into a star, mark my words. Pick 8. Well, we've got Geelong here doing that Bowles deal. And it makes complete sense that they take the legend that is Geelong Falcons, Jhye Clark. An absolute accumulate magnet and someone that they'll be looking at going, you know what, ready-made replacement for Isaac Smith in the next couple of years. Was the captain of the countryside, so he's got that leadership. It suits what Geelong look for. Hard running forward and back, incredibly aggressive, incredible elite engine. 22.5 touches for country this year. 5 tackles in the 4 games. 7.3 marks. He works really hard as well on that transition and becoming that target. Likened to Joe Selwood, by a lot of pundits. So it really does fit the bill. Can play inside, can play outside. I think he is perfect. His ability to slot across half forward and kick goals is phenomenal. He is literally a Geelong footballer. If you went to a factory and made it, Jhye Clark is it. And for me, if I'm Geelong, I'm taking him. And that is probably why they look at that Bowles deal. That is the kicker, because I've got him here, and I think that is what they'll do as well. I think Cam Mackenzie is more of a Hawthorn player, and I think Jhye Clark, an absolute incredible footballer, uses the ball so well. Incredible football now. So that leadership really suits into what Geelong like to build with their young recruits. Pick 9. I do predict Jason Horne-Francis will finally get his move home to Port, and Port's gain is North's gain in the form of a key position defender, probably the best key position player in the AFL draft as well. And when I looked at North, I thought, you know what, they definitely need that kind of someone to complement Big Ben Mackay, but also someone that can really give them some stabilization. And Jess Busslinger is an absolute solid player. The best intercept player in this year's draft. His kicking is absolutely elite. His ability to transition and the thought of playing this guy in a third as the interceptor, for me, suddenly makes North very solid down the back, because that is where a lot of opportunity is going to come. He is phenomenal. And for in the national champs this year, 22 touches, 3 intercept marks. In the under-18 waffle for East Perth, 6 intercept marks, 24 touches. Absolutely incredible. His read of the play is absolutely sensational. And for me, it just makes so much logical sense that they look at bringing this kid in. He is a phenomenal talent. Very slight by foot as well. Deceptively quick. And he really takes the game on. And that is something that all these modern-day teams are looking for in their back half of the ground. I just think that this makes sense for them. If they lose Jason Horne-Francis, that's fine. I think then that they can get the other acquisitions probably going in the... I reckon they'll go some mid-ages a bit later on. I could see Ethan Philp coming in as well, Phillip coming in, and some players like that. I reckon that they'll really be quite active this year. And I think Jedd Busslinger is probably, in my opinion, an upgrade, because I do think they've got the depth in that midfield. I think having that interceptor is what they lack. An incredibly talented footballer and a great acquisition. And then we've got pick 10. And this one's an interesting one, isn't it? Because St Kilda would be there. And I think they'll take Mattaes Phillipou, an absolute phenomenal footballer, and someone that when I do their needs analysis and I look at what St Kilda need, I would say St Kilda definitely need either someone to play across half forward, key forwards for to help Max King, or just a midfielder to help someone in the ilk of Steele. And this kid here is absolutely incredible. I am a huge fan of Phillipou, and he can slot across that half forward and the midfield. They've lost out on the goalie, but for me, this guy has got a hell of a lot more upside to him. His ability in the air, his ability to be contested, but also his ability to kick snags is second to none. And one of the bottom ages, he is absolutely dominant. Dominant last year he was, and this year has been none the same. He's an absolute jet with his left foot, can tear the game apart, spot a pass, and loves his goals. And the 28 touches, do you know what I mean, in the Sandfield under-18s just says it. He can find the pill, something that St Kilda don't have. And for me, you can see why they went after players like De Goey. This guy, for me, is a lot better than De Goey. When all is said and done, this guy will have, I think, a better career. Look out. Great acquisition by St Kilda. And then we come on to my team. Pick 11. With all that's gone, because all my priority orders have gone, it's a no-brainer. Absolute prolific user of the football. This year's standout winger with scope to go inside as well. Probably one of the strongest runners in the AFL draft. Elijah's brother, and this kid here is something else. Absolute brilliant little footballer. Works hard both ways. He has the Carlton link as well because his great-grandfather was Martin Cross. Covers the ground incredibly well. Incredibly well. The fourth in the YOLO test this year. 23.5 touches for country. 4 inside 50s. 6.5 marks, which is so important now. Working high and up the ground. That is important. 5 score involvements. He's what Carlton don't have, an offensive type wingman. And this is just a no-brainer. He slots in so perfectly. Will be in the best 22. Will play round 1. He's an incredible footballer. An incredible footballer. I've seen some comments about him that are totally unfair. And for me, it just says that people haven't actually seen him. But he's as good as it gets in wingman and someone to get excited about. And when you look at modern day AFL, wingmen have been so important. Then we've got pick 12, the Doggies. The Doggies have a very interesting case, are they not? And it's going to be an interesting one how the Doggies go. I tried to look at what they got, and I thought with them losing half a list, it's one of them things. Now, they probably would have hoped that a big defender was there in like Busslinger, but they have got Liam Jones. Do you know what I mean? They may have been looking for a forward, could be looking for ruck stocks, but I do think that they'll be looking for just to develop that midfield. They have a very set midfield pattern, and it works incredibly well. And for me, I just think that Hewitt really does present that wonderful chance. He is an absolute dynamite, and he's got a very similar ability to Dunkley that he's leaving. 20 touches at the national champs, 11 contested possessions, 5 tackles. More one way, I think, which is very Dunkley, more aggressive. And I think he is absolutely what they look for in a player. I think the Doggies would look at this and rub their hands with glee. In the final third of the ground, this guy is incredible. And you can work on his defensive side of the game, his application. But Elijah Hewitt, for me, perfect acquisition for pick 12. Good get for the Doggies. And then we go on to the matches. And I've got Richmond at pick 13. And I think that they're going to be the team that take the piss. Owen David Jr., small forward, father-son nominee. And he is an absolute live wire, explosives. And bringing Sheezel and Davey in suddenly gives them some really good compliments in that side. And it'll make them a bit of a potent threat in the attack. Can find space in a crowded elevator, this kid. He is an absolute ready-made footballer. And we see it every year, don't we? We see players that come in and really score from the off. Did play in the VFL this year, had the 1-goal free score involvements, which will have caught the eye of them. For the Chargers, he was simply sensational. 16 touches, 3 tackles, 5 score involvements. But the real highlight for me was when he played for Metro and he really stood out on the big game. Perfect for the Bombers. The Bombers will be happy with that. I also have them going for my boy, Jasper Fletcher. Again, another father-son. Brisbane will have to match. And this kid here is one of the elite wingmen in the comp who can play on high half forward. Absolutely deadly little foot skills as well. Real line-breaking speed. Real attacking flair. It's unfair, this father-son. Look, Brisbane have got 2 quality players. And you saw it at the national champs, 4 inside 50s, 22 disposals, and the NAB League, just under 2 goals. This guy takes the mick. Like, honestly, offensive, forward, and, Brisbane will be rubbing their hands because in 10 years' time, when you've got Ashcroft finding this bloke, look out. Great little get for them. But let's see what Richmond get. I've got Richmond going with Henry Hustwaite. If you've watched this channel, I am an incredible fan of this kid, and he literally suits everything they have. Can play defender, can play mid, has played as the third tall for the Dandenong Stingrays. Incredibly strong around the stoppage, a natural clearance player as well, and a real good replacement in the long term for someone like Trent Cotchin. More of a little mongrel type player, I think, with pace, like a Prestia, a great little player who has incredible vision, loves using the football in close, highly efficient, and loves getting his hands dirty, which suits the Richmond ethos of play. It's been really good for Dandenong. 23 touches, 3 inside 50s, 5 clearances, 5 score involvements, 4 tackles. Back that up at national champs level as well. Real easy acquisition for them and a great little get for Richmond Tigers. I think, as usual, Fremantle will keep it in-house. And I've got them taking Reuben Ginbey. And this guy here is probably one who hasn't been talked about enough, in my opinion. He has been a literal little live rock wire in the waffle. And I expect Fremantle will take him. They take what they know. They always have done. And I can't see that changing. Can play down the back, but more of a midfielder. Was the MVP at the Carnival. Stood out for East Perth like they always do. And his ability just to find the ball with his elite speed is incredible. Because he comes from down the back as well, he also has come down on the wing. And he really, really adds that point of difference for Fremantle. Good kick, loves finding the football, works back and forward really ways, slides into them. And since Chera's gone, this guy is kind of a Chera. And they can use that process with him. A really good acquisition, and it makes for a really tasty Fremantle midfield in the next couple of years. Pick 17, Sydney are an interesting one because I think they're looking for pillars. They've got Franklin one end, and obviously, do you know what I mean? They've got a mid-ageist backline, and I think Matthew Jefferson, for me, stands out, and he's had an incredible back half of the year, and someone that I think deserves his shot, and he suits it. And I think the fact that there's a lot to work with Jefferson, Oakley Chargers boy, 4 goals, just under 4 goals at national championships. He is a pure goal kicker, real strong. You can see he's got that basketball background in the terms of how he finds space. Real incredible, loves to drop deep and take his marks. Very good below the deck. And he's learning off Buddy, which is a huge, huge thing. I think Sydney will take this one as a no-brainer. And for me, I think he rivals Cadman. And I think if there wasn't so many midfielders, he would be there. That gives us Collingwood. And I think Collingwood will spring a shot. I think with Grundy imminently about to leave, I think this one makes total sense for the Magpies because he can play forward, which is what they desperately need. They're going to get McStay, which I'd imagine will be a swing man. I don't think the midfielders are solid enough. I think there'll be an opportunity to get Deloya a bit later on, which would probably appeal to them. But I think the forward is more of a pressing concern. And I think that they are probably going to be one of them teams that plays dual ruckman. Now, with Grundy going out and Cameron holding the fort. And Isaac Keeler is phenomenal. We know he's been one of my boys, and 2 of my boys have gone to opposition clubs. It's painful. It's the nature of the beast. But Keeler, it makes sense. And he's got X factor. Strong below the deck. Natural goal kicker. Decent ruck craft. A lot of scope for improvement. And I think Collingwood will really enjoy this pick. And he is an absolute jet. He is literally what you would call that franchise type forward. And I think it just makes total sense. And it might surprise some people, but with him being a next-gen academy pick for Adelaide, get in fast. Because someone will take him around these picks, and I think Collingwood will bite the bullet first. Then 19, I think, like we said, they need backup down back, and I think Lewis Hayes makes perfect sense for them. For me, I like him over Jedd Busslinger. I'm a big fan of the Eastern Ranges boy, and he's been incredibly solid all year. incredible at intercepting. He's going to be learning from Paddy McCartan. And I look at the key defenders there, and I just think that Dane Rampy's cracking on a bit. He's going to learn off him, who's a very solid footballer. The 21 touches at the NAB League, 3.3 intercept marks at national championships, moves smoothly, good user of the football, related to Port Sam Hayes, and he's a big body who knows how to use it. I'm a big fan, and I think Sydney will take him, and that really is a good draft class for them. And then this is the surprise. Geelong, I've got them holding on to the pick 20. They may shift it, but I'm looking at what Geelong need, and Geelong are one of them teams that are exciting to do because they don't take the obvious options. Now, they've taken Jhye Clark, pick 7, which I think makes total sense. It's a logical pick, but it also suits their system. I think they lack a bit of zip and a little bit of pace down the back to really complement what they build. And I think they could go up another level. Lachlan Cowan fits the bill. I'm a huge fan of this kid, and he keeps going up on my draft board, and I saw an opportunity to sneak him into the first round. Absolute dynamo for the Allies. Penetrating, line-breaking speed, loves the 1-2s, high kicking efficiency, suits their game. The second most points in fantasy behind Will Ashcroft. Let that sink in. 8 intercept possessions for Tassie Devils, 8 rebound 50s, 20.7 kicks, going in the high 80s for kicking efficiency, was sensational at the National Carnival for the national champs. I just like this pick, and it may surprise people, but I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan, and I wouldn't be surprised. So let me know. Let me know then what you think of the picks. Anyone you've got higher, slide in, let me know. I love the discussion. It's great to chat. We'll be doing more of these. I'll be back tomorrow with a recap of today's events. And until next time, Pom out.